back. Thanks for coming. Welcome home.
Yes.
How was your day?
Whoa, we didn't plan that, you guys. We did not plan that. So excited to be back for our second episode.
We hope you guys liked the first one. We hope that's why you're here. But even if this is your first episode, welcome.
Yes. I am Abby.
I'm Bri.
And this is Rent-Free Roommates.
Yeah, we're the best kind.
Yes. Yeah, you really lucked out with us. Cheap dates. Cheap roommates here.
You don't have to clean up after us.
None of that bullshit.
No utilities.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be the best part about this all.
No money.
No money.
We just want you to listen and subscribe and rate us and review.
And tell us what's going on.
Yeah,
It's
mostly
really
that.
The biggest thing here is, we just
want to hear from you.
And we're so much less expensive than a therapist, especially with today's economy.
We're not professionals.
We're not licensed.
We'll tell you some stuff.
And I'm going to end everything with, I don't know, though, so that you don't blame me if I run wrong. The important thing is if you want that help, email us.
rentfreeroommates@gmail.com.
Like, subscribe on all of our social media. We're the most creative people on the planet and found this name first.
So it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, so you really
Love
shouldn't
that
have
for
a
us.
hard time. Yeah, love that for us. Thank you. Nobody else for snagging this from us.
Well, so how was this week for you?
Oh, this was a tough week for me. It just, you get those weeks where I feel like the universe just really wants to test you. And I feel like especially when it starts off so early in the week, it just feels like everything after that is just piling on top of each other. So like I got sick earlier this week, had to leave work, came back to work, just like couldn't get caught up with like me. Just feel like I was playing catch up the whole time. And then like long story short, you guys, I lost $300 on a plane ticket. Because fuck that. And fuck them. So I'm just like rolling with the punches this week. Like I just keep getting back up.
Yeah. It was also kind of a rough week for me, but in a very different way. I feel like for probably 4 days I was recovering from my hangover.
Yeah, Bri.
Sunday was rough.
She was in rare form.
Extremely rare.
Yeah.
That's like once every couple years, not even once a year. I think it's because my tolerance is down too, but also
Brunch is a wild time. I love brunch because it is so unhinged. You have no idea what time you're getting home.
it was my friend's birthday and we went somewhere for bottomless mimosa brunch. And I realized that I don't think I should do that.
Stop.
Because I think my brain
That's
takes
negative.
it as a competition.
Oh, yeah, you got to get your money's worth, honey.
That's really what it was.
3 p.m. Bet. I'm taking down like 3 of these bad boys.
I think it was only like a 3-hour like reservation or something like that. So I was like, I have only this much time to, and
brunch brings people together.
The service was incredible because you can't even keep track. They were filling the flute as soon as it was even like, they saw any room in there. They were like, oop, got to put more champagne in it. And I appreciate that, but also I think I had fun.
The last time I went to
remember.
brunch, I was at a club at 9 p.m. and the lady was dancing with fire. And I just remember just like looking up and being like,
I forgot that day started with brunch.
Brunch was at 11 a.m. and it was 9 p.m. and I was and then I got lost in that club. I was trying to get out of the building and I ended up on the 4th floor. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? I gotta get home. But Bri's made a full recovery since then.
I'm here. I'm a new
for you
person.
guys specifically, so that we could answer your questions.
And you know what? What a difference a week can make. So much happened in this week. And
she's grown.
I'm ending it on such a positive note because not only are we starting this podcast, one of my best friends in the entire world just got engaged.
Oh,
and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for her. I love her so much. I literally woke up the next day like I was the one that was engaged. Like when you're a kid and you get a new toy and you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, I have that thing I can play with now. I woke up with that excitement where I was like, oh, my friend's engaged.
I'm just going to talk about this. And the thing is that's since knowing Bri, she's become a friend of mine too. And I'm just like a little bit of like the secondhand excitement here. So like she messaged me while I was at the gym and I was like, tell me why I'm smiling like an idiot, on the treadmill right right now. Anybody looking at me would have thought I was like a psychopath.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I was like, I have to tell somebody. So I just like screamed into my phone via like voice text at Abby. And I was so excited.
Yeah.
And sobbing and just like walking around my apartment. I didn't know. This is my first like close friend to be getting married. So it's a big deal. And we're all very excited. And nobody deserves this happiness more than she does.
Yes.
They're just the best.
I feel like if she picks him, she's got
It says
impeccable
a
taste.
lot,
I mean,
yeah.
she's my friend, so of course she has great taste. She's our friend.
Love you guys. I'm so excited.
Yes, congratulations.
And I will say with this engagement, I'm not quite so jaded anymore. I like believe in love a little bit
Wake up
again.
a new woman.
Not completely. I still like very much hate men, most men. Not you, Jared. It did renew it a little bit. I felt like I went back a little bit to my just fairy tale love story.
Like what's in store for
belief.
you.
Yeah, I was like, love is real. It can happen.
That's nice. You know, God.
Because I've been very jaded for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not currently dating and I don't really want to right now, but the day will come. Maybe all these weddings. I feel like I've reached that point in life that everybody eventually gets to where they have a million weddings all at the same time. It feels like it happens that way for everybody.
yeah, I'm very jaded about wedding. I've just been in so many,
Yeah.
you guys, where I'm like, I feel like Katherine Heigl in 27 Dresses.
She is, yeah.
I just like, if
So
you're
much better
if
than
you're
Katherine
getting
Heigl, but
married
yeah.
though, I'll take an invite. I don't want to be in the wedding more.
Yeah, just a guess. I've had to promise her that I won't make her my maid of honor, but she's standing up. Even that, she fought a little bit. She was like, I don't know.
I'm just tired.
I
And
was
that
like-
sounds so much worse, you guys, but like I'm 26 and I've been in like 5 weddings. 5 weddings. And everyone's like, what great problems to have. But like a little.
It's expensive.
When they're like on opposite ends of the country,
Yeah.
you pay my bills. It's tiring, but
Says a lot about you though. You're a good friend
I'll
and a
fucking do
good
it.
guest.
Yeah.
Everybody wants you there. But yeah, I was like, well, we got to compromise. Also, don't worry. You're tired now. By the time I get married,
Yeah, she's
it
like-
will have been a while.
like there's
So-
no decent buffer. But for right now, I'm playing it really low key.
I'm so excited though. Can we talk about, so we're both within like how many months apart did we figure out like 4 months apart going to different weddings at the same venue?
Fucking weird. Yeah. I'm going to try and hide something in the venue and make Bri find it. That's no pressure on me. But I'm like, I'm so fucking stoked for this. I'm like more stoked than the wedding now almost. Like, my God, like the anticipation's killing me.
I'm so worried about it getting found before I get
I
there, though.
know.
Like it's gonna be. Gonna have to think about it. Like, where will it not be?
I'm
cleaned
gonna I'll like
up
also
or-
have to be weary of like how weird I'm coming off to people at that wedding. If they're like,
Same though.
like this girl's like on her hands and knees, like in the corner. Like, what the fuck is she doing?
People are gonna think I'm on something when I'm like searching around. I'm like, again, yeah, on my hands and knees,
It's a
like
very important mission.
looking around. Hopefully it'll turn into a love story. That's what it's gonna be for me. Some guest that I don't know, but
It's gonna help
very
you find it.
very attractive and charming and nice is gonna come and be like, what are you doing? And be like, I need to find something. Help me look.
And that, kids, is how I met your mother. Boom. And speaking of love, relationships,
I didn't even do that on purpose.
good little segue into what the
segue.
theme of this week is.
Yeah, we're talking about relationships, but like we've said in the past, write us about anything. rentfreeroommates@gmail.com. First email is, I feel like nowadays it's kind of viewed that dating is only okay when you're the best version of yourself. I've heard it many times that, for example, you got to be making a good deal of money and got to be done with your traumas and insecurities and have your mental health at peak performance and things like that. I don't really have any experience in dating, me either, dude. But I thought even if there were those things, couples had to work through them and get better together with the help of each other. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't have much of an experience in dating, so maybe I just don't get it. So yeah, what do you guys think?
That's really fair. And I feel like that also just resonates so much on where I also feel like I'm at in life.
Yeah.
So I feel like that question aligns with exactly where I am too. And I have the same
So many people.
perspectives myself where I don't have the world's most extensive dating history, but I also do always have that lingering feeling of like, is somebody going to want to be with me when I'm on my worst day, or like the fact that I'm not where I'm at, maybe career wise at the moment. So I feel like that's something that everybody is currently struggling with.
Yeah, it's very relatable.
And I feel like social media doesn't really help with that mindset either, just because everybody is always putting their best foot forward, whether it's dating apps, social media. But I think the important thing to understand is I would really consider it more so a mindset of taking financial gain out of it, trauma. Because I don't think you should jump into a relationship if you're physically not okay with yourself. But I feel like if you're actively working on yourself, it is more than acceptable to learn and grow with another human being, because they might be a part of your healing with your trauma. I think it closes a lot of doors for people to think that they need to be this completely put together human being, because I also think that like people can complete others and be that yin to their yang.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a matter of, I feel like, accepting that you're a work in progress and always will be, because I don't think you'll ever be done or ever be healed. And if you think you are healed, you might come across a situation that digs up something else about that you didn't know that you had to deal with. And does that mean that you should just end that relationship because a new trauma came along? I don't think that's really a good way to want to approach a relationship. I think if I were to approach it, and how I consistently try to, is that understanding that I'm a work in progress and that I think other people are too. And we don't know what their progress is yet. So I think just allowing yourself to be open to those situations would be the first step, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. You know, there's so much gray area with all of this. And I think there's also a lot of mixed messages out there. I think I understand where this is coming from. There's something to that, but I do think that sometimes it gets taken to the extreme. And I 100% agree with what you said. You're going to work through it, but yeah, you're always learning, always growing, always changing, and always discovering more about yourself.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff I think is great to do with somebody else. Yeah. When it's somebody that you really love and care about and feel that you both listen to each other and take into consideration what the other thinks and feels, I think you can grow together.
Oh, most definitely. And I think this doesn't fall within the lines of a relationship with two different people who are like in love, but I feel like our relationship, just even on the platonic level of like things that I actively work on, that I speak about towards you, with you, just even getting your opinion makes me feel valued, seen. And I feel like the same could be said with friendships. People don't expect a perfect version of you. That's
right. And also, that's boring. I don't want somebody that feels like they've figured themselves out completely. I think somebody who has confidence, that's always attractive, but I think that it can make a relationship stronger when you do grow together. But I think the real question is, are you in a place where you feel like you can support somebody else in their growth too?
Yes.
Or are you in a situation where you have a lot you're working through, you have a lot you're working on? Can you give part of yourself to somebody else? You know, because that's kind of where I'm at with dating, because I'm not dating right now because I know that I have way too much that I'm focusing on myself, and I need to be really selfish right now, and it's a good kind of selfish. So I know that I don't have the ability right now to give any of my time to somebody else. And again, it sounds selfish and might sound like a negative thing to somebody else, but I don't want to lead anybody along. So I'm not even pretending or trying to date right now, because I know that I'm as cheesy as it sounds, I'm dating myself right now. Well,
yeah, not that you don't think you would be worthy of the love and somebody to come along on that process with you.
Right.
But I think understanding where you are at in that process because I don't think you should ever fully date until you're okay with certain aspects of yourself too. Because, if you're unhappy here, you're still going to be unhappy in that relationship.
Right.
The thing is I always do really want you to be working on yourself too, but I don't expect you to have your life figured out like a 10-year plan.
Right. Those are the kinds of things that it works out into, like, what are you looking for in a partner? What are you looking for in, a long-term relationship?
And only you can determine that. I think you would want to find a partner who is also okay with a work in progress and just being transparent about that too.
Right.
And it's like,
I'm not going to fault you for not having this corporate office job where you're making 6 figures. Like, fucking A, if I can get there someday, not that I want to be 100% corporate, but like making that kind of money, hell yeah, who wouldn't want to make that money? But I'm not going to fault you or judge you for that. Or like you're working this job, but you're still living with your parents. All I want to know, and what still keeps me attracted to somebody, is, do you have a plan to get out at
you
some
have
point?
a goal, a dream.
I want just have some ambition.
Something that you want to work towards. I think just even knowing for me that like you've got some idea of what your life looks like. I don't want you to have all the answers. And I also think that's really boring too. I think it just boils down to making sure, you know, easier said than done, that you're more okay with yourself before you jump into a relationship.
And I don't know that you'll ever know, to take it straight from the title, that you're the best version of yourself.
Yeah, like, what does that mean? And, you know, what does it ever mean?
But you do have to be okay on your own. I'm such a big advocate for that. I am always telling people, like, you have to be okay and you have to know how to be single. You have to be able to entertain yourself, be proud of yourself,
know what you love about yourself.
Yeah. You have to know yourself to a certain point. You don't have to be the best version of yourself or have all your shit together. No one does. Because that's the other thing. Like, your value is not put in being in a relationship or not. But there's way too much of that where I feel people, you know, when they're kind of a serial dater, or, you know, like just like a serial monogamist, where they're, as soon as they're out of one relationship, they're in another one because they're afraid to be alone.
Yeah.
I get that fear, but you also have to work through that. And you have to be okay on your own to be good enough in a relationship so that you can share growth with somebody else. Don't be in a relationship if you're doing it for somebody else to fix those problems for you. You have to be working on them yourself.
Or feel like you're adding value to their life, because it's you who is important too. Don't forget that. I feel like so many times we're like, would I be a good fit for them? And it's, no, honey. Are they a good fit for me to help me on this path? And I think we get so caught up on that too. Is like, we second guess what we bring to the table. But at the end of the day, it's also about what that person can do for us too.
If it's you and you're just taking on all of your partner's stuff and that's not reciprocated, you're not sharing the load, then that's not healthy. Biggest question to be asking yourself is, how's your communication? Are you good about bringing up in a not aggressive way things that might be bugging you? Are you open-minded to talk about it? Are you open-minded to compromise? When you have an issue with anything, and look at your other relationships to kind of figure that out about yourself. When you have an issue with a friend, do you let it just fester and you're petty about it and then it blows up?
Right.
Because no, that's not a good relationship. Are you able to bring stuff up to your friend and talk through things and see their side of it and then come to an understanding between the both of you? That's a great relationship. And that's what you should be striving to get to with a partner too.
And I think that's the true test too, because like I said, in this day and age, everybody's putting their best foot forward to make it seem like they are just like, I've got it, you know? But it's like, I don't want to see this got it version of you. I want to see this vulnerable version of you so that I can understand who we both are for each other. And that's what I think is so troubling in this day and age, is that we are just so concerned about how we're perceived that we don't try and work on the actual things, that what it takes to keep and maintain a relationship, that we just focus on these very surface level things such as a job.
Work on the real you, not the social media you.
Because I just don't think, if I feel like I have to be perfect, I'm going to share nothing with you and learn nothing about you. And then in the end, what am I getting?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Boom.
I think that's just my 2 cents on the situation. Like I said, that's something I'm working with every day too, is understanding that I don't expect anybody else to be perfect. I don't expect myself to be perfect. So why should my partner, and why should I expect my partner to be perfect too? And I think that's just important to go into the dating world with, is just keeping your mind open and looking for those green flags.
They mentioned traumas. I want somebody that's going to be understanding about that. And also with somebody, like, I'm going to be a good partner to somebody with certain traumas because I understand or I have the patience to listen to what it is they're going through.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking less of them for that. I'm not, there's so much that goes into it. Put yourself forward. Dating should be, you need to protect your heart, but not so much that you're not letting anybody in at all. You have to be vulnerable. It's real fucking hard. And also, like we said earlier, recognize if you're ready and at the point where you can let somebody in.
Yeah.
A relationship should not be you trying to have somebody else fix you.
Don't go into
That's
it
not
compromising yourself too, or
Yeah.
feeling like you need to come to terms with a situation before you're ready. That's not going to benefit anybody either.
Yeah.
Just be patient with where you're at in life. And
Right. Give yourself some grace.
the right people will come along, and so will the lessons. But I really hope that helps you.
And thank you for that question. That's such a good, I loved that perspective, and I
Loved
was
it.
excited to talk about that because
Same.
it's very relevant and definitely something that I think a lot of us, especially in the current dating world, are dealing with. So thank you for that. Remember, if you have anything you want to talk about, dating or otherwise, write us, send us an email, rentfreeroommates@gmail.com.
Lay it on me.
At what point should someone end a happy relationship? So, I, 32 female, she says, have been in a relationship with the same person, 30 male, whom I love for 4 years. One thing I've always been clear about since our very first romantic encounter is that I want to settle down and build a relationship with a lifelong partner. Our anniversary is approaching in a few weeks, and while I'm not dead set on getting married right now, I would at least like to know it's on the table for the future. Problem is, he's not sure it's something he ever wants. I know that I want to be with him forever, and I know he's happy with me. Aside from this, albeit major difference, our relationship is otherwise perfect. I don't know why specifically marriage is so important. I could wager that it's got something to do with early childhood trauma and an innate desire for stability and permanence. But my question is, do I just wait around forever for him? Why does this hurt me so much? And what should I do?
Oh, that is a tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's heavy. I do have a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So I did talk to this writer a little bit just because she had asked, in the meantime, big picture, and it's not easy, but you have to prioritize yourself, your wants, and your goals in a relationship, I think. Don't let someone else's difference in opinion or feelings on marriage make you second guess your want for it. It's completely normal and valid to want to marry a person that you love. And yeah, that's a pretty big pillar of a relationship. I think the hurt she's feeling is coming from the idea of not marrying this person that she loves, but probably also feeling like, why don't they want to marry me? And that's not really the right, it's hard to not take that personally. Mm-hmm. It's hard to not take a partner not wanting marriage personally. But please believe it's not that they don't want to marry you. It's that they don't want marriage, period. At least that's what it sounds like to me. And if you want marriage, but they don't, it's simply not a match. You can still love someone and care for them, but they just might not be the match for marriage. And I don't think anyone should ever have to sacrifice something so important in a good relationship. There are things you can find, and I don't know that like to compromise on, but I don't know that marriage is one of them. Like getting married and kids, I don't feel like are something that you can really compromise in a relationship. I think that's something you have to be the match on that. And I think she's doing herself a disservice by staying to find out, sticking around to find out, because you could stick around to see if maybe later on down the road he does want to get married. You can stick around 5, 6, 7 years, but the answer could still be no at the end of those 5, 6, 7 years. Like you stuck around in the hopes that they would change their mind, but they may not. And it's something that you have to discuss with your partner and make your feelings known and let them know the importance that it holds for you and how much you love them. And if they still don't want marriage, then it sounds like you owe it to yourself to move on. I know that thought is really scary, but doing the right thing and the best thing for yourself typically isn't easy. Change and the uncomfortable is scary. And especially I think when you've been in a relationship for so long, the idea of being single is very scary.
Starting over.
Yeah. But nothing's written in stone. And I think with guys especially, they work off impulse and how they feel in that moment. Something as big as marriage, they can't really think so far ahead on. It's only when they're ready, and those feelings of being ready don't really have to do with you. It's purely where they are at in life and how they feel. I think it could just be a matter of timing, and it's just not the right time for you guys, possibly. And in that case, you still owe it to yourself to let yourself explore your options and really get to know yourself and see other people and see where things take you. But it all has to start with a conversation with your partner. And I think if you're going to have a conversation about this with your partner, write a list so that you don't lose sight of what it is that you want to accomplish in this conversation. And also just to make sure that you're staying true to yourself and speaking your truth, and make sure that you get your feelings across and don't get caught up in the emotion of the conversation and then forget like, oh shit, I meant to say that, but now this conversation's over.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, and when you were reading that story, is the statement in which she said, other than that, the relationship is perfect. And so then the relationship is not perfect. It's not the relationship you want, because the perfect relationship for you involves marriage.
Yeah.
And I think that statement alone kind of tells me everything that I think you're feeling. Is it almost sounds like permission is wanted to be able to have this conversation of putting your foot forward of whether or not this person is going to give you what you want, because I think what you do want is marriage. And I think the conversation also needs to be had with yourself on whether or not that's something you see yourself being able to compromise with. My oldest sister has always been very adamant about her desire to have children, and she was also in a long-term relationship with a man, and she was always very upfront about what she wanted, as was he, that he didn't really care for a family, want that. And the thing is they spent that time, two different people, trying to figure out if that relationship could be navigated. And every relationship is different. Some will find that that's not a deal breaker, but for them it was. Mm-hmm. And they ended up putting some time into each other that, I mean, that's kind of the point, is finally the conversation was had. It's like, do you think you can give this to me? And if the answer is no, and you don't find yourself being okay with that answer, then as hard as it may be, and as hard as it was for her, and don't get me wrong, she's still very much so hurting. That was not an easy decision to make. And I'm glad so much thought is being put into this, because I know you're trying to be rational here and understand, for the love of your partner, what you can put up with. But also I think that needs to be reciprocated towards you. Is it fair for him to keep you in a relationship where he knows he's not giving you what you long for at the end of the day? Mm-hmm. And I mean, do we know why he has such feelings about marriage? Were you aware of that when you jumped in? I mean, he was aware at the very least what you had hoped to get from it. And I think to a degree, if they know that they can never provide that for you, at the very least, honesty should be provided so that that person can either determine if that's something, given the person, they're willing to compromise with, or if they think like 5 years down the road, am I going to be okay that I let something that I thought was of an important value to me just slip through the cracks?
Right. Is that something you're willing to compromise on? And you have to be true to yourself in that.
You have, like, point blank is given the answer, you have to know where you stand on that. You have to be 100% certain, and don't feel like you have to do it so that you can keep somebody, because like I said, I feel like you inevitably will have that realization of like, oh fuck, I spent 5 years thinking I was okay with this, and now I just realize I really long for maybe that stability that it would provide me, or just, you don't have to defend what it means to you. If you want to be married, you want to be married.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether or not it's for this reason, that reason, the reason doesn't matter, but it's a value that you have and a value that you want into a partner. And I feel like if that's not reciprocated and you don't feel like you can compromise with that decision, then it's of no interest to either party to maintain a relationship, because I just think the only place to go is resentment from there.
Yeah. And especially if something's so important to you, don't let anybody second guess why it's important to you. It's important to you for a reason.
Yes.
You might not 100% know it, but in your heart, you feel that. And if somebody is making you second guess that, that's manipulative.
That's the concerning part.
Yeah.
He can just brush whatever, but if they make you feel like marriage shouldn't even be a conversation, I think that's wrong. And I think you should.
And it's just not a match.
Yeah. And I hope that your partner would be receptive to understand where you're coming from, and it hopefully give you a straight answer on where they see this relationship. But then I think it's up to you to determine based on that answer if that's something you can live with ideally down the road, and not even like dealing with it tomorrow, like dealing with it 10 years down the road. Are you going to be okay if you're still in that stage of life?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably more so the important question to ask here, is if it's like, will I be happy that I gave up an important value of mine because I have this other than that great person? And I just almost hate the way that sounds. Of other than that, I'm doing great. It's like, other than my crippling anxiety, life is great. Like, I just feel like that's not a way to go about anything, is to think, well, you know, that's not perfect, but at least I have it.
Right. It's a fun, one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to is the S1Ep2 podcast, and they play a game on their red flag or deal breaker. And it's fun in a game and in a hypothetical to say everything in the relationship is absolutely perfect. You guys are so in love, and like it's the perfect relationship except, and then you say something like, is that a red flag or is it a deal breaker? It's fun to think about in the hypothetical, but in a real relationship, that's really not the truth. Nothing is so perfect except for this one thing. Because I think if you really sit down and look at things, it's not as perfect a picture as it feels. I think you're
trying to make yourself be okay with the situation, it sounds like. I think you're trying to be like, I think it comes off as it, have you been made to feel like you're already asking too much for this marriage? Like, why are we messing up such a great thing? Like, we're happy, aren't we? It's like,
and that's gaslighting.
But I also don't know if that's how the conversation's being had, but just based off that statement, I mean, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on that because maybe it's just poor wording, word choice, or sentence structure there, but I just don't like how it comes off where it's like, almost like you should be okay with where you're at because the relationship is so great that you shouldn't even be worrying about marriage then. It's like, no, I can understand the relationship's perfect, but he just leaves the seat up. Like that, I'm like, yeah, like that one, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, nothing, you know, that's not a deal breaker, but this, like,
because even, you know, this is titled, at what point should someone end a happy relationship? I don't know. Maybe a relationship can be happy. You can be enjoying your time, but is it a healthy relationship?
Yeah.
In the long run. And if it's not a healthy relationship and you're not both truly supporting each other or hearing each other out and keeping in consideration the things that are most important to the other one, and if those really important things aren't aligning, then it's not the right relationship and you should end it then.
If your needs aren't being met anymore, I would rather you both leave while the love is still there.
Yeah.
Because at least you can understand where the other's coming from and still want something where you wish for the best, whereas you just look 10 years down the road and you just like can't even bear the sight of them because they couldn't give you this life that you wanted. And I would really hate for either of you to put in more time than is necessary and end up doing more harm than good for the other.
And I think change is good in changing things up. Maybe space would make somebody realize that, oh wait, yeah, I do want to marry this person. Don't do anything, or don't go into it with the like, I'm doing this because I'm hoping that he's going to realize. Like, you have to be okay with it ending and that being it. And if someday you guys came back to each other, that's a bonus, you know? Because nothing's written in stone. It doesn't have to be forever. Maybe someday down the line.
Luckily, you aren't married. You can leave.
Yeah. It's much
pretty
easier.
easily.
Yeah.
Without the government, at least.
Very true. And I think also, because I know that you mentioned you've been together for 4 years, and that is a lot of time, and that's a long relationship. But also, would you want to put in 4 more years where you're not seeing eye to eye? You know, you owe it to yourself to find somebody that is a match with you on the big, really important bullet points.
And maybe those 4 years helped you grow to the point where you're like, okay, I'm at a point in my life where I know what my next chapter, I want it to look like and want it to be. Mm-hmm. And I love you so much, but I just don't know if this next chapter is also me and you. Mm-hmm. I can love you for what you taught me, where you brought me.
Yeah.
And I will always hold you dear in my heart because of that. But maybe you just don't have a place moving forward. And I would rather acknowledge that at a point where I still love everything that you were able to teach me, be a part of, but also let you go if it's just no longer supporting the two of you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can meet somebody tomorrow who can make such a bigger impact than somebody you've known for 10 years. And that's just because your goals align with each other, your priorities, your wants, your needs are aligning, and just respect yourself and what you need.
Yeah, I think there are way too many relationships that go on for too long for the wrong reasons, you know, you can say that it's too long, that it's gone on because it should have ended, you know, years ago or something like that. And it was just understandable fear of starting over or change or of being single again, having to date again. It sucks. Yeah, it's not the most fun, but also it's so worth it if you're giving yourself the chance to find something better and something that aligns with what you're really looking for.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
But I hope that helps. I know we've given you a lot to think about.
But it's also not an easy situation or decision to make overnight. There's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of time, love, knowing this person. But I think you owe it to each other to have a conversation about what you two realistically are still bringing to the table and if that'll be enough. Mm-hmm. And I think from there, you guys will be able to determine if this is a future or maybe you part ways for a while and do some exploring, come back to each other. I think the universe will bring to you what you need, but you need to ask for it and be willing to fight for it. You know what you want.
Yeah. This one might feel perfect to you, but there might be something even better out there. And I think you owe it to yourself to give yourself the chance to find that out. I wish you the best. Keep us updated. And thank you for trusting us to talk about this.
Thank you to anybody. These are all very sensitive topics that we feel very grateful that you're willing to have spoken about and trusting us to give the nobody asked for advice. But
because you are not alone. That is the other big part of this and why we want to do this podcast, asking for advice, whether it's from a trusted friend, family, or from 2 strangers on the internet.
Unbiased opinions here.
That you owe it to yourself to just get some help. And we hope that we can be that. And we hope that we are treating everything with respect and that we, you know, we want to be here for our roommates. And
we hope that we leave you with hopefully more clarity than confusion.
Yep.
New listeners who haven't written us yet, please feel free to. Once again, that's rentfreeroommates@gmail.com.
And to anybody that has written in, if you have anything else and you want to write us and update us, you're always welcome back. You're a roommate, so you're here forever.
Forever. If you lose your key, we're not making a copy though. $5.
But there is no key. You just have to come listen. That's your key.
You just have to hit that play button.
Yeah, and that subscribe button and rate us. Hopefully, we would love that. It's so helpful to us if you can do that. And share us.
Yes.
Share us on social media. Share us with your friends, family. Send links. Tell them to write in. Or even if you just have something you want to talk about, like a show that you just finished and you're really excited about and you're like, nobody's watced this yet. I need to talk about it.
We fucking love shows and movies.
We love shows and movies. Like we said, we met in film school, so we're a bunch of film nerds and we do nothing but watch everything on TV. So we want to talk about that stuff too. And the good stuff. We're here to help for the good, the bad, the ugly. We want to help you out. Whatever it is, we just want to be here for you. Please write us.
Yes.
And come on back.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.